Yep. Check.
Check. Hey, how long it's been?
Man, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute.
Yes, sir.
It's been a minute. Yeah. Hey. Talk to him.
Just because you blind don't mean I can't see. Read between the lines, you know talk is cheap. I try to say it ain't that deep, but it's always that deep. Don't sleep. I'ma chase the goal till my heart don't beat. Eye on the prize till I'm in my seat. They might try to say it ain't that deep, but it's always that deep. Don't sleep.
It's time to rise above all the notions of your defeat. Reaching for the top, but the mountain's more than its peak. There's always more than what's on the surface. Look underneath.
I beseech, then you reach her.
Ladies used to learn to love your features. Tell me how much you think it costs when to make your sneaks, bruh. Why you gotta take it there? You sounding like a preacher, sounding like you looking but don't see. I just peeped and I speak. Oh no, can't you see the throne? They asked me, Sananda, yo, what you in the phone? You feel it in my tone, yeah, I've been getting bold, but I just can't help it, be real. You know that you felt to be still.
Don't sleep.
Let the time stand still, see the truth for what it is. Don't be lying past here, be authentic. And if you just trying ideas, don't pretend it. Just know you a witness, and now I'm finished.
Just because you blind don't mean I can't see. Read between the lines, you know talk is cheap. They might try to say it ain't that deep, but it's always that deep. Don't sleep. I'ma chase the goal till my heart don't beat. Eye on the prize till I'm in my seat. They might try to say it ain't that deep, but it's always that deep. Don't sleep. Yeah,
Let that ride.
yeah. Don't sleep. Yeah.
One more again.
We said, don't sleep. I'ma chase the goal till my heart don't beat. Eye on the prize till I'm in my seat. They might try to say it ain't that deep, but it's always that deep. Don't sleep.
So what's going on, everybody? That's what we got popping today. There's gonna be a Kraven the Hunter review. I'm gonna be hitting all these things right here, so I'm gonna show this to the Instagram fam. If you're on Instagram, just know I'm gonna be live up until up until my phone die, pretty much. So everyone's better. I got my phone until it die. I might just plug it in because I don't want my phone to die and just have y'all looking at the ceiling or something. But yeah, that's what I'm working with tonight. What happened? My little tripod thing broke. So I was twisting it. Thing came off. It like broke right here. You feel me? So can't charge it and be on at the same time. So it's what I'm working with, man. We work with the gifts that God gives us. You feel me? That's from the movie Troy. But he said more. So today we're talking about. I can take this off the screen. Today I am live on YouTube, so you can go to Apostle Jack, and I'm also live on Truth and Brew. So this is gonna be a cross-stream platform type deal. So it's Truth and Brew and Apostle Jack. So Apostle Jack on YouTube, Truth and Brew on YouTube, and Truth and Brew on Twitch. So we might get to a real good Bible study right about now. So today we're gonna be coming from, I believe, Genesis chapter 10. We're gonna be talking about your boy Nimrod. We're gonna be talking about Tobit, chapter 3, and I'm gonna hit you with some Torah real quick, with Genesis is Torah, but some more of Torah to start this thing off from Deuteronomy chapter 18. So in Deuteronomy chapter 18, I'm gonna be reading from the King James version. Next, I'm gonna pull out the book so y'all know I'm fronting. I'm gonna share my screen on the screen, but on the screen of the screen gonna be screening. So get your screen up. You feel me? I don't know what I just said, so don't quote me on that. Hold on, let me. This is the great big book of everything with everything inside. See the world around us, the secret's dirty heart. Forgot the words to that song. So we're gonna be focusing around here, chapter 18, verse 10, and I'm on Bible Gateway. So if you want to follow along. Apologies for the creaking chair. Yes, I'm representing my school at Azusa Pacifico. Are we gonna do Deuteronomy 5, right? 18? I believe so. All right. So Deuteronomy 18, Moses is given the instructions that he received from God on Mount Sinai to the people including the priests, the kings, and the common people. So he says, the priests and Levites and all the tribes of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offering of the Lord made by fire and his inheritance. So the priests of Levi do not like raise livestock on their own land. They get all their livestock from their brothers, their brother tribes. They don't inherit land other than what the brother tribes gave them as the allotment for their land, and they eat what the brothers give them for the temple sacrifices daily and whatever livestock their brothers gave them for a tithe that year. That's what they eat on. So therefore, they shall have no inheritance among their brethren. The Lord is their inheritance, as he has said unto them. And this shall be the priest's due for the people. From them that offer a sacrifice, whether it be an ox or a sheep, they shall give unto the priest the shoulder and the two cheeks and the maw, the first fruits of the corn and the wine and of thine oil, and the first of the fleece of thy sheep shall give to them. Shalt thou give him. For the Lord thy God has chosen him out of thy tribes to stand to minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons forever. So they didn't have their trade, the Levitical priesthood trade eternally is to be scribes and teachers of the law and minister in the temple and do the temple services and all that, and teach the children the ways of God. And that was like from age 5 to like 12 or something like that. And then those that they saw were more affinity, they became prophets or rabbis, right? You didn't have to be from the tribe of Levi to be a rabbi. You didn't have to be from the tribe of Levi to be called a prophet or a judge or anything like that. That was something that God gave. And then the Levites co-signed what God gave you, a gift that he gave you, and then they trained you in a way until you went on and did your own thing. For the Lord thy God had chosen him out of all the tribes to minister in the name of the Lord, him and his sons forever. And if a Levite come from any of thy gates out of all Israel, where he sojourned, and come with all the desire of his mind unto a place which the Lord shall choose, then he shall minister in the name of his Lord, in the name of the Lord his God, as all his brethren, the Levites, do, which stand before the Lord. They shall have like portions to eat, beside that which cometh of the sale of his patrimony, when thou art coming to the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou should not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. There should not be found among any of you. So this is talking about a Levite that goes and sojourns in the land, right? And if a Levite come from any of thy gates out of all Israel, where he sojourned, and come with all the desire of his mind into a place which the Lord shall choose, then he shall minister in the name of the Lord his God. All his brethren, the Levites, do, which stand before the Lord. They shall have light portions to eat, beside that which cometh in the sale of his patrimony, when thou art coming to the land which the Lord thy giveth thee. Thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. Right. So it's two things happening here. So there are Levites that are going into through, or in our term in the church, evangelizing to their brothers in their different tribal nations and gates, right? Because you have like the tribe of Judah, they were given an allotment of land. The tribe of Gad, they were given an allotment of land. A tribe of Ephraim and what's the other boy? Joseph's sons, the other one, Manasseh. They were given land, right? Let me see if I can pull up a map of Israel. Excuse me, I'm severely dehydrated for some reason. and like a half a gallon of water, which is crazy. So if you're looking online on YouTube, this will be a map of ancient Israel. Judah was in the south with Jerusalem right there at the top, right up in there in Benjamin. So here we go. It's a map of ancient Israel. You got Manasseh was all the way up here. Issachar, Naphtali, you have Zebulon, Asher, Manasseh. These are Joseph's sons. Ephraim, Dan, Benjamin, Gad, Reuben. Simeon is down here. Judah, Asher, Naphtali, all of them, right? So, Dan, I think I said Dan. So Manasseh was given 2 portions. Damn, Manasseh's huge. So Manasseh, Ephraim. So Manasseh stretched. What? Ephraim. Manasseh and Ephraim were Joseph's sons. So they were given double portion, but they're also given their father's portion because Joseph became an Egyptian, literally. So where are we? So when a Levite, right, they weren't given land. They were given land like on the shore. I have to go there, so don't quote me on this. Like on the shoreline, they were given land for the. So these are the, if I'm not mistaken, these on the shore usually are where the cities of refuge are, and that's where the Levites controlled. They lived there. And what they would do, they would go into these gates, Judah, they'll go into Ephraim or Dan or boom, boom. And most places, this is where you see like synagogues being established and stuff, ran by Levite for the most part. And the temple was here in Jerusalem. So they'll go and they'll minister, intercede, heal, whatever, to the tribes, right? Teach, right? And when they get there, and they'll also go out. But when they get there, they'll see like all manner of depending on where they went, right? He says, when out come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations, right? That y'all went out to and come back in, right? Thou shalt not be found among you anyone that maketh his sons and daughters to pass through the fire, or uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto the Lord. Because of these abominations, the Lord thy God driveth them out before thee. Thou shalt be perfect with the Lord thy God. So people think that this perfection and perfectedness is attributed to all tribes. Not the case. So, and there are scriptural implications and applications for this, right? So the problem is the reason why the Levites were commanded to be perfect and everyone else weren't is because the Levites were held to a higher standard, right? The Levites worked in the temple. They were with God all the time. Like they were with the scriptures. They were with God. They were in his presence for the most part all the time, whether the weeks, but they could go into the temple whenever they wanted to, right? The other tribes didn't. They didn't work. They lived in the land of God. Yes, they can go to the temple whenever they wanted to, but they also had like regular jobs and they had regular trades with different nations and different things like that as far as business wise and all that stuff. So it was much easier for them to fall back into some other type of practices and then they get correction, right? But for the Levites, they were held to a higher standard. So when we see the Levites, right? When a king, for instance, when a king like David, when he transgresses the law, right? It only affects him in his house for the most part. It affects him in his house. He appeases to the Lord. He gives the offering that's suitable for whatever transgression he committed. And then God forgives him, right? Covers over his sin, right? And he tells him to go and sin no more, right? When a Levite does that, and especially the high priest does that, it affects the entire nation. The reason why is because now you have a contrite heart, you have a reprobate heart, right? You have a reprobate heart and mind, and you can't go and make atonement for yourself or the people anymore because your heart is in the wrong place, right? It affects the entire sacrificial worship that you have to give to God for atonement, right? This is why Jesus is so important, because Jesus now is the perfect high priest. He never falls. He never makes a mistake, never had, never will, right? So he can make atonement for us continually, perpetually, without, without him or God have to worry about, oh, he might fall tomorrow, boom, boom, and then we're gonna get a new high priest, or we're gonna have a high priest for him, and then we got nations come in and drive us out because our high priest is practicing wickedness in the temple, and God don't like that. He especially don't like that. So boom, we go into Assyrian captivity, and that's where we're about to go into, right? Babylonian captivity, which is the same thing, right? So this is what God hates: the mixing, the temple worship, when they would go and mix. What y'all did, what you did in your house is cool. Like, it's not cool, but don't take that into his house, right? It's not cool to do that in the land which he gave him. Not at all. I'm not saying that that's cool. But what I'm saying is that affects you. It doesn't really affect everyone else. When a priest and the high priest, the priesthood sins, it affects the entire nation. They're held to a higher standard. So to be perfect. Why is this important to us? Because we are royal priesthood. We're going to be, this is what Apostle Paul tells us, do you not, we have to trust each other to judge amongst ourselves, because do you not know you're going to judge angels in the resurrection? So in the resurrection, we're going to be a royal priesthood. So we're going to be made perfect in the law, right? But we're still going to have a choice of free will, to where if we want to not obey something, we can just say no and not obey, and then we end up like Satan, right? Lake of fire. Here you go. Because there's no more sin, there's no more death. You can't pay the penalty for that sin because you're living eternally. So this is why it's a dress rehearsal to get into the practice of doing these things, get into the practice of living righteously and living holy. So when you get to that point, it's just second nature, right? It's in you already. You already know it, but just because you know doesn't mean you always do, right? It's like, I know how to make my bed, but if I showed you my bed right now, my bed ain't made. I'm just be transparent. I'm gonna just show you. My bed is not made right now. Look at that. I got chips and crackers and stuff on my bed. I don't make my bed every day. I know how to make my bed, and I know that I should make my bed every morning. Being, that my mom taught me how to make my bed when I was growing up, and I was in the military for 6 years. Had to make my bed, so I know how to. I just most of the time don't want to, so I don't do it. I couldn't show anybody on StreamYard, but it just don't just because doesn't mean you're going to do. The only way you're going to do is if you put it into practice, and it becomes muscle memory, and then it becomes a habit, right? So that's that. So what we're getting into today, please excuse the helicopter. I hope y'all can hear me on the stream. Let me check this. I think y'all can hear me. I can hear me. So I hope y'all can hear me. So today, what we're going to be getting into, I'm going to be doing a review of this movie, this bad boy. Let me see if I could put it up as a presentation or something, because I would hate to have it on as an overlay every time. Background. I can see if I can do it like this. Sorry, this was not planned. Boom. Okay. All right. I think that works. So stop sharing. What are we going to be doing? Virtual background. Can I turn this off? Sorry, give me 1 second. And no, that did not work. Thank you very much, because I want everybody to see my dirty drawers. All right. Yeah, you're showing. I guess we're going to have it as an overlay for the most part. All right. So this is what we're going to be discussing. Kraven the Hunter. This is my review of Kraven the Hunter. I wanted to give that preface scripture so you know where I'm coming from. So Deuteronomy 18:10, where it says, read it one more time. There should not be found among you any one that maketh his sons or his daughters pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, right? It's talking about astrology, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter of familiar spirits, a wizard, or a necromancer. So I can get into all these, and I will later on. What the differences between each of them are. But for right now, and I'm gonna get into it when we check the. So this person right here on the screen, right? So we got Kraven the Hunter, right? So Kraven the Hunter was a movie, or is a movie that just released from Sony Studios in conjunction with Marvel. It was a very bad movie. That's my review of the movie. It was a very bad movie because Sony did it. He's gonna say that out loud. But this, however, isn't Kraven. This is Nimrod of Babylon. And we're going to get into that and why I use this picture in a second. That's, the Tower of Babel. Then we have Paranormal Activity down here. We have American Horror Story, Coven, which is probably like the best season as far as like story and all that goes, but it's very like wicked and into idolatry. So if you're under the age of 18, or if you're a new believer coming out of this stuff, I do not encourage you to watch this. If you're a pastor and you want to know more about, the occult and how they do practices and stuff, if for educational purpose, I implore you to watch this, but only for educational purposes. And then give it to your congregation to tell them why they should stay away from stuff like this. This is, I think, Papa Getty, right? Of the Ewa Pantheon. And we're going to get into that. These are the Getty family right here doing a sacrifice of Haitian descent and all that. And this is Tiamat. And we're going to get into all of this. I just wanted to break this down because all of this flows into this, which flows into this, which flows into this. So when you guys see how we're about to flip this thing, I want y'all to see. So Kraven the Hunter is loosely based off of one of the hunters, the mighty hunter in the Bible, which is Nimrod. So we're going to go to that right now. We got Genesis 10, baby. Thank you in Genesis 10. It should be in Genesis 10. Bum, 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 bum. Yep. Here we go. Here we go. So I guess we can start at the top. Now these are the generations of the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And unto them were sons born after the flood. The son of Japheth was Gomer, Magog, Madai, and Javan, and Tubal, and Meshech, and Tiras. And the sons of Gomer was Ashkenaz, where you get Ashkenazi from, and Riphath, and Togarmah. And the sons of Javan was Elisha, and Tarshish, and Timit, and Dardanim. Yep. Dardanim. And I'm gonna look up all these names later because all the names mean something prophetically. I just didn't do it because I forgot. I had to go to Genesis 10 to explain this today. By these were the isles of the Gentiles divided in their land, every one after his tongue, after their families, and after their nation. The sons of Ham, Cush, and Mizraim, and Phut, and Canaan. And the sons of Cush were Seba, and Havilah, and Sabta, and Ramah, and Sateka. And sons of Ramah were Sheba and Dadan. It sounds like I was singing, "You're playing with the big boys now." Sorry. And Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. And you just keep going on from Nimrod here. So there you go. And Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one in the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Wherefore it is said, even as Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. So what is Kraven called? Kraven is called Kraven the Hunter. Sorry, you can take this off now. Kraven is called Kraven the Hunter, right? And Kraven fought and killed a lion, maybe the Nemean lion, I'm not sure, and he wore it as a trophy prize. So did Nimrod, where it's attributed to him to wear a lion all the time. That's why that's on there. Sorry, I wasn't sharing this. That's my fault. Let me go back and start sharing this so y'all can see. Bow. So, and Cush begat Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty one on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore, it is said, even Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babel, and Erech, and Akkad, and Calneh, and in the land of Shinar. Out of that land went forth Ashur, and builded Nineveh, and his city Rehoboth and Calah. And risen between Nineveh and Calah, and the same city was great. So this is where we're going to talk about here. So this is like a whole timeline, right? So this is the Tower of Babel, and after Babel, you know what happened in Babel. They said Nimrod said we're gonna build a tower to reach the throne of God and overthrow God. And God was said, no. Angels go down and give them all the different language. So they went down, gave them all different languages, and they couldn't even communicate no more. So they stopped building. He didn't even kill him. He was like, just go give them like all the. And then who was the one that came up and killed Nimrod and cut his bodies up and put him in different places? I forgot that boy's name. I don't know if it was Gideon. I don't think it was Gideon. It might have been Gideon. I'm not sure. But one of these people, one of God's people, came up and killed Nimrod, cut his bodies up into pieces, and then buried them all over. And then people later on built shrines on top of those things, started worshiping Nimrod, and said that because of Nimrod, he had sex with his mother, Ishtar, right? And then she had a son named Tammuz, and they're saying, no, Tammuz is the son of God, which they worshiped Nimrod at that time as, and he became like the fictional Christ of Babylon, Tammuz. But they're saying he's Nimrod incarnate because Nimrod impregnated his mother, Ishtar, and Ashtoreth, and all that other stuff. So, but we're going to be focused on out of the land Ashur, and build it Nineveh, and the city Rehoboth and Calah. The reason why is because we got to go to the book of Tobit. So I'm just going to read the first chapter of Tobit in 1 second so y'all can see where we're going from here. And so Tobit takes place during the Babylonian captivity in 2 Kings, chapter 17. You can go there if you want to get all that. Sure. Okay. Make sure. Yeah. All right. So the books and parts we reading up. All right. The book of the words of Tobit, the son of Tobiel, the son of Hananel, the son of Adel, the son of Gabriel, son of Raphael, the son of Raguel, and the descendants of Asiel, the tribe of Naphtali. And we already showed you where Naphtali is on the map. And see it again. It's right here in Kadesh, and Miram, Hazan, and Dan, right? That's where Naphtali is, right next, like right smashed in between Manasseh and Asher. So Asher's on the coast, Manasseh's over here next to the Sea of Galilee, and then Naphtali is right in the middle. So that's where Tobit was from. And Babylonian captivity took over all of Israel. All right. Not that they moved them out of their city, they just took over Israel, and it's kind of like Roman occupation. You don't even say captivity, you say occupation, right? Sorry, let's go back to Tobit. So in the book of the words of Tobit, so we already went through the tribe of Naphtali, who in the days of King Shalmaneser of the Assyrians was taken into captivity from Sebe, which is south of Kadesh, Naphtali in Upper Galilee, what I just showed you, above Asher towards the west, north of Fagor. Exactly what I just showed you. Smash in the middle. It's above the Sea of Galilee, definitely. Make sure I got that right. Yeah, it's above the Sea of Galilee, like towards the left, if you're looking at it from the screen. Let's go back. So Tobit used in virtuous life. I, Tobit, walked in the ways of truth and righteousness all the days of my life. I performed many acts of charity for my kindred and my nation, who had gone with me in exile, Nineveh, in the land of the Assyrians. When I was in my own country, in the land of Israel, while I was still a young man, the whole tribe of Manasseh and Naphtali deserted the house of David in Jerusalem. This city had been chosen from among all the tribes of Israel, where all the tribes of Israel should offer sacrifices, where the temple and the dwelling of God had been consecrated and established for generations. So Tobit was a righteous man. That's all you need to know. He kept the commandments. He fed the poor. Blah 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 blah. Did all that, even though his whole entire tribe wasn't really doing it. What's up, Raj? So when we get to Tobit chapter 3, this is where I want to focus on right now, just for the sake of this prophetic message that I'm bringing to you. So we got Sarah. This woman's name is Sarah. It's not to be confused with Sarah, the Sarah that Abraham married, because this is like thousands of years later, right? So Sarah was a woman, right? Her she was a daughter of Raguel, was approached by one of her father's female slaves, for she had been married to seven husbands, and the wicked demon Asmodeus had killed each of them before they had, were able to consummate the marriage, right? So she's still a virgin, but she can't, boom chicka boom, because this evil demon Asmodeus is killing all of her husbands, right? So why is this important, right? This is important because if you remember the movie Paranormal Activity, if you show you on the screen again, right? So if you remember the movie Paranormal Activity, right? The first one, it didn't really explain it in the first one, but you see in the first Paranormal Activity movie, I think her name was Katie, if I'm not mistaken. I ain't seen it in forever, but I think her name was Katie. And Katie, she was married to a dude. I forgot his name. He had a feminine name though. But he's married to a dude, and all this weird stuff. They moved to like a house of their childhood, which Katie forgot because of some other stuff. But this demon that followed Katie all her life since she was a child, because her parents and her grandparents was into some weird stuff, right? This demon that followed Katie all of her life, had been like messing with Katie's boyfriends and all that, and then started messing with the marriage and started doing stuff in the house and all that stuff, right? So later on in Paranormal Activity 2, 3, and 4, we found out that Katie was actually, and her parents was actually like, and her grandparents was actually into like seances and doing witch stuff and all that stuff, right? And we found out that the being or the entity that's plaguing Katie and is married to Katie, they got married to this demon when they were children, right? Was the demon Asmodeus, which Katie referred to as Toby when she was a kid, which is a play on words because the demon Asmodeus appears in the book of Tobit. They tell you the truth. They put it directly in your face. They just don't explain it. They tell you the truth every time. They just don't explain it, right? So that's where the Paranormal Activity thing comes from, right? Because it's this woman, she's married to this demon. She's married. She doesn't know how she got married to this demon, right? Maybe there's some trickery within the mind, because in the movie, when you get to like 3 and 4, right? You see that they got their memories wiped somehow, and they couldn't remember anything from their childhood. All they know, like their house burned down, their parents is gone or whatever. But they couldn't remember anything from their childhood. But they had this covenant with this entity, this demonic spirit. They had this covenant with this demonic spirit, and they couldn't be intimate or in a relationship with another man because of the covenant they made with this demonic spirit. Even if you don't remember the covenant, right? Because of some traumatic event that happened in your life that's blocking that, you still be mindful of covenants that you make with people in that have connections with demonic spirits. Why is this important? Oh yeah, most definitely. Yes, sir. Roger said, I always knew that there was real shit tied to the demon films, most definitely. So where are we getting with this Asmodeus stuff, right? Because Asmodeus is the entity that's, you remember in Daniel, when we go to the book of Daniel, right? And it says, I think it's in Daniel 10, if I can go there real quick. But in Daniel 10, Daniel is praying to God to deliver him from this lion's den, right? And Gabriel shows up to Daniel 21 days later, and he says, yeah, I would have been here earlier, but the the prince of Persia withstood me for 21 days, and I had to wait for Michael to come run his fade to hold him back so I can get here. But I would have been here sooner, but the Prince of Persia. So these princes, right? These is what we commonly refer to. We're gonna go into a little angelology, right? So we talked about this on the last stream, me and Liberty. what we commonly refer to as angels aren't really angels, right? Angel is a job description, right? Technically, I'm an angel right now. I'm delivering you a message, right? So technically, I'm fulfilling that job description as an angel. So an angel isn't a being. An angel is a job description. There are a myriad of heavenly beings, and there are different classifications. Like right now, explain it like this: I'm an earthly being, right? My classification is human. I'm an earthly human, right? There are other earthly beings on earth with us. You have dogs, you have monkeys, you have cats, you have zebras, you have all these different other earthly beings, but I'm a human, right? And my ethnicity is black, and no, my race is black, my ethnicity is American, right? In heaven, you have heavenly beings, right? At the top of the food chain, you have princes, right? Which we commonly known as angels, but they look just like men. They don't have wings or nothing. They look like men. They just beautiful and glorified and all that, right? Those are princes. That's what we call angels, right? But then you have other heavenly beings called seraphs. They're the burning ones that cover their body with their wings. You have ophanim. Those are like the wheels with eyes all around them. You have cherubim, who cover the throne of God, the mercy seat, right? They have wings. You have living creatures. You have the face of a man, an ox, a lion, and an eagle, and they have the feet of a lion, and they have like wings with eyes all around them. These are different heavenly beings. Those heavenly beings never leave heaven. Because imagine if you are walking down the street and one of those things pop up, you will probably die of fear. Like just on sight and just petrified and just die, right? Those princes come and and then there was this other classification called watchers, which is what Satan was. He was a watcher. Azazel, right, which would be his name. But yeah, these other because people like my Christianity would tell you that it's Lucifer, and actually Lucifer isn't that. That's a whole nother thing that goes into Tyre and all that. But Azazel, Satan, Shemyaza, those are the people that gave humans divination, the ability to communicate with other spirits, made covenants with other spirits that begat giants. The giants that died in the flood, their spirits came out of their body, and because God didn't create them, he didn't have anywhere else for them to go. So he cursed them to the earth to wander the earth, to thirst and never have their thirst quenched, to hunger and never be satisfied. So they go and they torment us. And that's their function. So those are demons, the giants, different disembodied spirits of the Nephilim, the offspring between angels and women, right? So those are demons. The fathers of those demons, they came down to earth and they taught men divination, cutting of charms and roots and astrology and how to communicate with different spirits and make covenants with them, because that's exactly what they did. They had babies. That's a covenant. So when we get into this dude right here, when we go back to Genesis 10, this dude Ashur, right? Ashur, is spelled Asshur, right? Ashur, like the Romans, they usually deify their emperors when they die. Like Nimrod, he became a god. Tammuz, he became a god. Ashur was a general in Assyrian Babylonian, and he became a god. He kind of replaced Nimrod in hierarchy, and he established the city Nineveh, right? Which is where Tobit sent his son Tobias to get his inheritance from a man there because he had made some investments, and bring it back so he could buy his wife the dowry to marry her, right? And to get the angel Raphael accompany him to the city of Nineveh, and they got the cure so he could cure Tobit's blindness and cure and dispel the demon Asmodeus that was plaguing his wife, or his soon-to-be wife. That's where Sarah comes in, because Sarah is going to marry Tobit's son, Tobias. Excuse me. So this dude Ashur, right? So this is where we're going right here. So Ashur, and I have this tab pulled up. Ashur, here we go. So the messenger of the Anu are elsewhere described as 7 storm clouds or winds, or a leader seems to have been the dragon Tiamat. So this is where we get with the Marvel thing, right? So Marvel Studios doing it again. this thing right here, show Instagram. This thing right here, the Celestial is what they call them, right? The Celestial in the movie The Eternals. This bad boy right here that got frozen in the planet is called Tiamat, which is a mythical Babylonian dragon, demonic dragon from the Babylonian pantheon, right? So the reason why we're talking about pantheons and divination and covenants and all this stuff is because in the movie Kraven the Hunter, right? Spoiler alert, just in case if you haven't seen it and you want to see it, from here on it's about to be spoilers. So in the movie Kraven the Hunter, which was a horrible freaking movie, it was just bad. I hated it. I can get into the reason why later, but in the movie, Kraven gets attacked by a lion on a hunting trip with his dad, and he gets like mauled and bit and all this stuff. This girl named Calypso, funny, it's her name. Her grandma she's in Africa visiting her grandmother, and Kraven is in Africa with his family hunting, right? But they're both on safaris for whatever reason, just on different planes. Then Kraven and Calypso encounter each other when Calypso sees a lion carrying a little boy off into like the wilderness in his mouth. And the little boy happened to be Kraven. So Calypso is doing she's with her grandmother, she's chilling, and her grandmother brings out these tarot cards. She does a reading for her grandmother, and she says, in the future, you're gonna meet somebody, boom, 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 he's gonna need your help, and then because of that help, he's gonna give you strength. And she gets her this little potion, and on this potion, it had this little symbol on it, right? And I recognize the symbol from earlier this year, from watching a video with prophets and prophetess in Christianity nowadays. And the seal had the seal of Papa Legba on it. And then when she was praying, she actually said Papa Legba's name. And I was like, I know that. That's from Getty. That's from Getty family. That's from Iwa. That's from Voodoo and Hoodoo. I know that name because I casted out a demon from Voodoo and Hoodoo from a woman once before. Like I like, you got to learn in order to, you know, you got to know your enemy. Best way to explain that. So let me take this off real quick. So that's why I went to Assure and all that stuff, right? So I can close this. I can get out of this. Sorry. Boom. Stop shedding. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. Now I'm going to leave it open. Anyway, so in the movie, she sees his boy. She sees the lion. The lion drops the boy. And then a bit of the lion's blood falls into the boy's Kraven's open wound, and it starts to mix. Then she pours the elixir in Kraven's mouth, and then Kraven survives his injuries, but now he has like the power of a lion, and he could jump and all this other stuff, right? So this is exactly what happened with Nimrod. Nimrod started doing with genetic gene splicing and all this different stuff, right? He's starting to get into some other stuff. Or is it boom, family of earth is starts Nimrod leaves from becoming past with pain, go together brick by brick, and set them on city by city, and named the Lord came down here. Other people said language and strange, doing the language from the set in the earth, came to Babylon, scattered these generations. Shem, got got all that, boom, Eber, Peleg, and boom, Nahor, okay, boom, Abram, boom, Sarai. All right, Tara, and at this where we get to Sarah. All right, and then Abram. Okay, cool. So somewhere around here. So when it says Nimrod became a mighty hunter, I think it in the Jubilees or First Enoch, where it's talking about Nimrod doing his genetic gene splicing and doing all this divination stuff to where he gets supernatural abilities, right? To where he becomes the mighty hunter, right? In before God. So anyway, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna post it later on. So that's what happened with Nimrod, and this is where the story picks up from. So the reason why I want to talk about this is because there's a thing going on within the prophetic ministry, which is what I'm called to, right? That's been bothering me for the past year and a half. I'm seeing a lot of these prophets and prophetess being called mama and papa. And I did this study. I'm gonna do this. June 22nd, 2024. That's what's on my my study. When I do studies, I put on Google Slides. I mean Google Docs, and put the date on them so I can come back and y'all can kind of see. Y'all can't see that, but just know it says Angel City Apostle Jack, June 22nd, 2024. I named it spiritual wickedness. And so I put notes here. I'm just gonna read it all. So I put notes here. Simon and sorcerer. If God calls you out of something, you can't use God for a replacement of source for what he called you out of. So Simon the sorcerer was a sorceress, and he saw Peter and all them coming down, and they were actually healing people. And what Simon was giving them was just divination and tricks. He didn't really have any real power. So when he saw them, he was like, I need that. I need what they have, but he wanted it for the wrong reasons. Peter saw that, and you could be saved, but you can't have this. And then there was some whole other stuff. So what I'm saying here is like, you can't replace the source, right? And try to do wickedness with a different source. Like people who deal in divination and astrology and spiritual wickedness, they have power. Like Jezebel was a prophet. God called her a prophet. She was a prophet. The only difference is her intentions and her source was wrong, right? Jezebel can't go and say, oh, I still want to take advantage of people, but now I want to do it for God. That doesn't correlate at all. So that's the same thing that Simon had a problem with. He was like, if I had their power, I could be more rich. No, it's not what it's for. A righteous prophet, Clement of Rome, early church father, who explains how to prophesy decently and in order. Explains false prophets. False prophets have the same power of a righteous prophet if you give the access to invoke that power over you, right? The prophecy is false, not the gift, and not the user of the gift, but the prophecy is a speaker false. They did not come from God, which was make them a false prophet. Bible watches the book of Enoch, the Witch of Endor, Simon the Sorcerer. These are just different examples, right? So now we get into the Iwa, right? The Gede family, the Papa Legbos and then the Papa Loy and all them, right? Yeah, by getting all that. So just to explain what happens in Kraven, right? So we got Papa Loy, right? A male voodoo priest, especially in Haiti, compared to Mama Loy. Papa Legba, Papa Loco, Baron Samdi, the Getty family, Getty Dub, Getty Linto, Getty La Orga, Getty Nebo, Getty T Malis. Yeah, I cast out Banyan in the name of Jesus Christ, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. Yeah, you guys are bound right now. Voodoo originates in Afro-Caribbean countries. The sister religion practices of that of the Orisha, and the greatest Orishan high priest to this date is presently Dr. Umar Johnson. You probably know him. He always comes to Ifatunde and all that stuff. Yeah, that's Orisha. Stay away from that. He's a great mind, right? Psychologist, which is funny, right? He's clinical psychologist, Pan-Africanist and of the Orishan tribe, right? The Getty family of Iwa are a family of spirits who operate in fertility and death. All of these unclean spiritual family members are known for the drum rhythm dance called banda. You know what other culture uses banda? Yep. Chalino. Now we're scratching the indigenous Mexican side of things. Indigenous Mexican is a tradition, is a contradiction, but it fits, right? And in possession, they would drink and rub themselves with the mixture of clarin, raw rum, and 21 Scotch bonnet of goat peppers. Fet Gede is celebrated on the 2nd of November, which is also known as All Souls Day, which is called the Festival of the Dead. Boons granted by the Getty, not repaid by this day, will be avenged afterwards. The exact same day, the Mexicans of Mexican descent, right, celebrate Dias de los Muertos, right? Have you ever seen the movie Toto? It's a whole movie dedicated to that. November 1st and November 2nd. Now, let's take a look at depiction of Papa Legba and La Calaveras, Catrina, associated with Dias de los Muertos, right? I'm gonna put it on here because they look exactly the same. It's not a coincidence that they look exactly the same. So here we go. Let's show this again. This is what all the Iwa, all the Getty, all the Barons, all the Papas and the Mamas, this is what they look like. They look like La Calaveras. They look like Coco. I said Toto. Did I say Toto at first? My bad. They look like Coco. All the people in Coco. Yeah, it's the same thing, just in a different culture. Exact same thing. It is said that the observance comes from the Catholic tradition All Hallowtide, which is the American popularized franchise called Halloween, which has its roots in the demonic as well, which could make sense too, because I don't have to pull up the Catholic Church to show you that they are fundamentally wicked. Iwa, the primary spirits of voodoo, they are akin to the Orishas and their religions, and of similar Afro-Caribbean New Religion movements. But unlike the Orishas, the Iware, not deities, but are spirits, rather of human or divine origin that are created by Banji, God, that's what they call them, to assist the living in their daily affairs, which is what the Orishans do too. You have an Orisha that you serve and you make a covenant with, and then it's based on some affinity type. So I know Dr. Umar, because he's talked about it so much, he said his Orishan is Ogun, who's like a master of war. So he serves Ogun, and Ogun is his Orishan or his angel who accompanies him and helps him with his daily affairs. And it's just demonic. This is demonic. And I'm not saying angels don't help with daily affairs, right? But it's typically one angel, and that's Gabriel, and the prince. It's an angel, prince, right? That helps us in our daily affairs, right? Let's just stick to the Bible, baby. All right, sorry. Marrying the Iwa. It is common. This is where we got to get into in Sarah chapter 3. So we get in Sarah chapter 3, right? And so it's all connected. All of it, it's all connected, right? All you gotta coordinate, baby. You gotta. They can't see me. You gotta coordinate, baby. This one, mushroom belt. Gerard, you know your dad got special mushrooms. So we get into Sarah, in Tobit chapter 3, verse 7. On the same day, Ekbatana. What does Ekbatana mean? Ekbatana means the gathering, if I'm not mistaken, the fortress of Media, right? Which is the culture is Assyrians, right? It also happened that Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, this is also a name of Jethro, mind you. I obviously check and make sure, and this is in Second Kings, so this is way after Jethro too. So it's not Jethro, it's not that dude. So the daughter of Raguel was reproached by one of her father's female slaves, for she had been married to 7 husbands, and the wicked demon Asmodeus had killed each one of them before they had been with her, as is customary for wives, meaning sexual intercourse. So the female slave said to her, "You are the one who kills your husband. See, you have already been married to 7 husbands and have not borne the name of a single one of them. Why do you beat us? Because your husbands are dead. Go with them. May we never see a son nor a daughter of yours." Crazy. So here we go. It is also common for voodoo adherents, regardless of whether they had been initiated, to marry a Iwa as part of a ritual known as mystic marriage. The ritual is reminiscent of a wedding ceremony between 2 human beings because it involves special attire, a wedding cake, a wedding ring, and a priest. The purpose of mystic marriage is to enter a special relationship, also known as a covenant, with the Iwa, thus further securing spiritual protection. One of the taboos associated with this type of marriage requires sexual abstinence on the holiday associated with the Iwa in order to keep oneself receptive to messages from one's spiritual spouse, primarily through dreams on that particular night. People will often choose to marry their mektet, that is, the Iwa who has been identified either through divination or consultation with the spirits to walk with that person. The personalities of the devotee and of his or her mektet are often quite similar. For example, a person whose mektet is Ogu is expected to be brave and bold, sometimes quick tempered. On the contrary, someone with Ezeli Freddy as a mektet will be expected to be frivolous and quite generous. What do voodooists believe about death? Most voodoo practitioners are Catholic. Let me read that again. Most voodoo practitioners are Catholic, so the beliefs in heaven and hell are there. After someone dies, they can become a beloved ancestor, and we can pray for them and to them, asking for their ongoing protection and wisdom. It's divination. That's necromancy. When they're dead. But there are those humans that died violently, that weren't given proper burial, that have since been forgotten by their family and friends. Instead of those lonely souls being condemned to wander eternally alone, Papa Getty takes them to the Getty family and they have a place in the voodoo pantheon. You may have heard the name Baron Samedi. He's very popular in New Orleans and as well as in Haiti. He's often pictured as a skeletal man with a black top hat. Let's do this again. Your boy right here. Hold on. One more time. One more time for the one time. Your boy right here. All right. So just hold that right there. He's often pictured as a skeletal man with a top hat or a white powdered face and a cane. Barons are the bosses of the Getty family, and there are many of them. They all have different functions too. So barons are bigger than Papa and Mama. So this is what happens in most Christian churches, and this is where it's bad because when you come, give me 2 minutes. I'm gonna come back on. Give me 2 minutes. Next, somebody's gonna end it and come back on. Hold on, quick.
And I told y'all this story before. Everybody knows the story about the three Hebrew boys. Y'all know the story. Y'all know the story about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Very familiar story. Everybody mama preach it. But I looked at something one day that blew me away. Because the Bible declares that they bound them up in their coats, their hosens, their outer garments, all of this stuff, and they threw them into the burning fiery furnace. They heated the sevens of the fires up 7 times more. They heated it up 7 times more. And the most mighty men that were in his kingdom took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and threw him into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. But this is why I got messed up. This is why I got messed up, Spreewell. I got messed up at the fact that Nebuchadnezzar comes to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and he says something profound. Notice what he says. He says, how many did we throw in?
Ooh. All right, hold on. Put it tight on here. Beep, 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 boop. Sorry. All right. So, sorry to put my thing back on, my live stream and end it. So, we're gonna deal with this in a minute. So, what happens is when we get to people in the deliverance ministry who call their, we don't want to say that because it's so bad. A lot of this happens out of, let me just give a little bit of benefit of the doubt. A lot of this happens out of ignorance. Like you go, maybe you're not someone who grew up in church and one of your friends invites you to church and they go to a deliverance ministry where they call their prophetess or their prophet or their pastor mama and papa. And it's like, oh, that's mama. This is what we call them. It's just fun. We call them mama or papa such and such, and mama such and such. And they just call them mama such and such because that's what you call them and you invited them. So they don't want to be, disrespectful or anything. And they just don't and covenant, right? A lot of stuff we do out of ignorance, like because we just don't know any better. But when you know better, you should do better, right? Like I should make my bed every day. I'm not, but I should. So like my room is like self-expression of myself, right? But what I do is like I take care of my car, I get my car, wash once a week. Yeah, I mean, I should do that. I know better, so I do better. You feel me? So do that. You feel me? Clean your car out. You feel clean your room. You feel me? When you know better, you do better. So this is me this is not a rebuke session. This is just information for y'all to know so y'all can do better. That's all it is. So here we go. So this is a ministry called Faith Ministries, I believe. Is there in Bakersfield? Marty and Marjorie Martinez, I believe, are their names. But their congregants call them mama and papa. I'm just gonna play the video so y'all can see it, so y'all know that it's real and I'm not making any of this stuff up. And I'm gonna give y'all the origin of where this stuff comes from, because it's rooted in Caribbean and all that stuff, all that good. Yeah. And this is a dope mix right here. I forgot the old boy's name, but he killed this. The whole Fred Hammond, Richard. How about I say Richard Pryor, Richard Smallwood medley. Here we go.
Mom and my sisters, I'm Rosa, Jackie, and Gisela, and we're here to share our powerful testimony that took place at the Prophetic Warfare Intercession class. At the very end, we were doing intercession warfare, and we started all praying in tongues. She prepared us and gave us that image of going down and fighting those demons. And Mama called me up. She saw me manifesting, and as she called me up, she declared she saw a demon of mind control as it was happening. It was very powerful. I felt this scream come out of me, and as she kept praying, immediately she saw the prophetess. She saw
Let's go back.
My name's Joanna, and I'm here with my mom and my sisters. I'm
Mama.
Rosa, Jackie, and Gisela, and we're here to share our powerful testimony that took place at the Prophetic Warfare Intercession class. At the very end, we were doing intercession warfare, and we started all praying in tongues. She prepared us and gave us that image of going down and fighting those demons. And Mama called me up. She saw me manifesting, and as she called me up, she declared she saw a demon of mind control as it was happening. It was very powerful. I felt this scream come out of me, and as she kept praying, immediately she saw the prophetess. She saw the generational curse of witchcraft. And so she called my mom.
In my mind, it came when I was sitting down, it came the word witchcraft. So I was declaring and destroying the spirit of witchcraft. And then she calls me. And when I was there in front.
So there's a lot of stuff going on here. So let me just say that. All right, there's a lot of stuff going on here. So this is Prophet Lovi Elias's church. So y'all could see this right here. And this is Mama. This is Mama and Papa. Revelation. Just run that back real quick. The devil is a lie. You are Iwa. Say. So I just wanted to show y'all that just so y'all could, have some. No, I know I ain't making nothing up, right? So this stuff is going on. So you can't. This is what God is talking about. You can't mix any part of divination or any part of with Him. He don't like it. It's like when you go to someone's house and they say, "Yeah, don't wear shoes in my house. Take your shoes off before you get in my house." God don't like people wear shoes in his house. He told Moses, "Yo, take the sandals from your feet because you're standing on holy ground." Right? If you come in with shoes in his house, you're gonna be mad. You're gonna get kicked out if you don't remove your shoes. Same thing. It's to the smallest minute detail of wearing shoes. It's that to what you call yourselves when you adopt things from different cultures and think it's okay. No, it's spiritual implications in all of these things. You can't sample different things and be like, oh yeah, God is gonna redeem this. No, God doesn't redeem culture. He redeems the people in the culture, and He brings them into His culture and makes them new. God doesn't redeem culture. He redeems the people of the culture, brings them into His culture, and makes them new creatures. I can't make that more clear. You can't take this from your culture, bring it in here, and say, oh yeah, God's going to redeem this. No, leave that over there. Circumcise your heart, right? Leave that over there. Come into here. He has his own culture. My cup overflows. You can't come to God with a full cup and say, pour something in here. It's not going to fit. He wants an empty cup. He wants you coming with an empty cup so He can overfill that thing with everything that's Him, because that cup can't hold Him. But if you come in with an empty cup, you like, it's filled already. I'm not about to pour my stuff on top of that. This is my stuff. Don't come out. That makes sense. So the mama papa stuff has to stop. If you're a prophet, cool. You're prophet such and such. You're prophetess such and such, right? But you're not mama. You're not papa, because you are diving into divination, right? It's just Deuteronomy 10:18. That's why we have to get back to Torah, right? Deuteronomy 10:18. There should not be found among you anyone that maketh his sons and daughters pass through fire. Talking about abortion. You need to look at what abortion is. They suck the baby out of you and they throw it in the fire. Or that uses divination. The Iwa, the Orisha, it's all divination. All the cards, all the crystals, all that, all the cutting of roots, it's all divination. Or an observer of times, astrology. They use astrology. Oh yeah, this is my month. My Venus moon is rising, and my Cancer sun is descending. All that astrology. Cut it out, right? Or an enchanter, someone who gives you a crystal and tells you to pray to it and increase your mood. Cut it out. Or a witch, right? Someone who gives you a potion and tells you to put the person, the name inside the potion and shake it up and hold it every day, and that person is going to fall in love with you. Cut it out. Or is that 10, right? Okay, boom, 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 boom. Or a charmer, right? It's people that lies to you, itching ears, right? Right? These are soothsayers, right? These are these are wizards. Charmers are wizards, right? People who lie to you. That good for nothing dude who don't want nothing to do with you. He just want to take from you When you want that cookie, right? Stay away from him. There's nothing righteous about that. Keep that cookie in its wrapper. Wrap it up. Talking to you two dudes. A consulter with familiar spirits, right? These are demons. These are demons. These ancient ancestors. These are demons. Necromancers. These ancient talking through them. The necromancers talk. They open their body. So a person who is consulting familiar spirits, right? And a necromancer pretty much do the same thing from opposite ends of the spectrum, right? Person who consults with familiar spirits uses their connection to the wicked side of the world, of the supernatural, to get you in contact with but a necromancer opens their entire body up and allows that being, that demon, to come in and speak through them like words audibly. It's a difference, right? Stay away from it. All of it. Mama, Papa, do not tell your prophet. Yes, prophet. Yes, prophetess. Yes, prophet. Yeah. Do not say mama. Do not say papa. That is a covenant. When you're doing that, you're saying mama, papa. Yes, we have one father. We have one father. He's in heaven. It's like, do not call any man your father, for you have one father. The Holy Spirit will give it to you when you need it. Matthew 23:9. Here we go. And do not call anyone on earth father, for you have one father, and he is in heaven. Father, that word father is Abba in Greek, in Hebrew, right? What is it in Greek? Petra, Petra, right? In the Caribbean, Papa, Mama. No, you have one. One Papa. He's in heaven. All right. Now I'm not talking about like the I know in Latino Hispanic culture, you guys, it's a term of endearment that you give to your children. Hey, Papa, go over there, Papa, Papi. That's different. It's very different, right? Than you making a spiritual covenant with someone who's prophesying over your life. When a prophet calls you, right, and you come, you just signed a spiritual contract and gave them permission to do whatever it is they need to do it to you. Then you say, yes, Papa, yes, Papa, yes, Mama, yes, Mama. You're giving them rulership over your spirit. This is what happens. This is what happens. You need to tell them, yeah, but I ain't calling you Papa. I ain't calling you Mama. I'm going to call you prophet because that's what God calls you. I'm going to call you prophetess because that's what God calls you. That's what I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you what God calls you. What's your name, Marty? What's your name, Marjorie? Yeah. That's what I'm going to call you. I'm going to call you what God calls you. Son, daughter, brother, sister. Not Papa, not Mama. Right? That's where that stuff comes from. And the last revelation of the night. This story right here was also told to by the Pharisees, right? And they tried to tell them the story because they're trying to subvert like scriptural dominance or prowess that they thought they had over Jesus, which they didn't. They told them this exact story because they knew it was from the book of Tobit, and they knew he might not have known it, right? But he did. And he knew what it was, and he actually gave them a book they weren't familiar with and called the scripture, which is the first book of Enoch, right? To refute this crap, right? He says, where is it? Matthew 22:23. Matthew 22. So let's turn to that right now because I'm done with Deuteronomy. Matthew 22. Mafia 2. Mafia 2. Mafia 2. Mafia 2. All right, sorry. Okay, here we go. We're getting there. All right, here we go. That same day, that same day came to him the Sadducees, which say that there is no resurrection, and asked him, saying, Master, Moses said, if a man die having no children, his brother shall marry his wife and raise up his seed to his brother. Now there were with us 7 brethren, and the first, when he had married a wife, deceased, having no issue, no children, right? Left his wife unto his brother. Likewise, the second also, and the third unto the 7th. And last of all, the woman died also. Therefore, in the resurrection, whose wife shall she be of the 7? For they all had her. Jesus answered unto them and said, Ye do err, not knowing the scriptures, nor the power of God. In the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are as the angels of God in heaven. So the angels in heaven don't marry because they are made perfect and because they're all males. There's no female angels. All the angels in heaven, they don't marry. The only angels that married left their first estate, they left their position, and they had sex with the daughters of men, married them, begat giants, and then they got cursed. They in darkness for like ever, and then they're gonna get taken out of darkness and thrown right into the lake of fire, which is crazy. But those are the only ones that marry, but they didn't marry in heaven. They had to come to earth to do that. But the angels in heaven don't marry, right? So this is what he explained to him. And the only way you will find this is in the first book of Enoch and the book of the Watchers, when it explains to him how angels, princes, watchers don't marry. There's no need for them to. They don't need to procreate. That's what marriage is for. So the primary goal of marriage is to make more humans. That's it. Yeah. God just made it enjoyable, and not too enjoyable for the most part. But okay, that's it. That was today's lesson. I hope you guys got something from it. I hope you guys it opened your heavenly eyes. You feel me? The revelation, right? I hope that it was beneficial to you. It's edifying to the body. Granted, this is not a rebuke session. I'm not rebuking anybody in their ministry, right? They do great work. They are creating kingdom citizens for God's kingdom. They're evangelizing out there doing it. You feel me? Just little minute details we should stop doing as churches, because especially if we don't know where they come from. You're just doing something out of ignorance because this is what your spiritual father did, or your spiritual mother did, or the person God used to call you into the ministry. No, do your research, do your own study, especially if you're a prophet. You have the ability to do this, and God will give you the answers, just like he gave me. So straight up, I love all y'all. Peace. Oh, and do your best to present yourself righteous before God. 2 Timothy 2:15. If you hear this, then I know you speak to God. Giving praise to the Father and the Son. You're not him if your demons never run. Kingdom mom, man, I'm trying to save them all. If you hear this, then I know you speak to God. Giving praise to the Father and the Son. You're not him if your demons never run. Kingdom mom, man, I'm trying to save them all. Yo, bust down my foundation. My whole team be with it. Rain Goku, fire, I spit. Walk on water, I live it. If I fall, they say I'm a villain. And if I ball, they say I'm a villain.